All right, we're talking about carpet bombing, DDoSing civilians, and just like any war, propaganda and public image is also a big thing of it. There's been a lot of talk about cyber war, and I'm just going to quote or steal some stuff from McAfee with permission, of course. This is McAfee's virtual criminology report from 2009, where they kind of pointed out the countries developing advanced offensive cyber capabilities. They named 5 different countries, including the US, France, Russia, China, and Israel. Small country, the little dot in here. Can't even see it. But size doesn't matter. Trust me. In this talk, I do believe McAfee, and I do believe that France has a lot of offensive capabilities until the Germans come over. In this talk, in this talk, though, I'm going to talk about all those countries minus France plus Iran, because they have been a little more active, as you probably know, in this whole cyber thingy that everyone likes to talk about. And again, size doesn't matter. We're the smallest, but the biggest. So without further ado, let's cover like those 5 countries really quickly, and then move over to the criminal side. So this is it, the US. Not a lot of secrets to kind of unveil, because everything is fairly well documented. There's a lot of stuff going on around cyber war. If you've been at the Meet the Feds talk yesterday, you've heard the number of open jobs that DoD and the Air Force and Stratcom have for cyber warriors or experts or whatever you want to call them. They're recruiting massively. Okay, setting up Stratcom, for example, with General Keith Alexander, if I'm not mistaken, heading this joint effort from all the military sides as well as NSA and stuff like that. The usual suspects, NSA, the best TLA ever that I saw here was CAT. Anyone knows what CAT is? No? Oh, come on. You should see the logo. It's kind of not presented well here. CAT is the Cyber Action Team. It's a unit in the FBI, all right, responsible for cyber action. I wonder how much action do these guys get. Russia, all right. Russia is again fairly well documented. The only problem with Russia is terminology. There's been a lot of movements there, especially post the Soviet Union, whatever. So a lot of agencies got new names and split up and merged back. I'm just going to name the few that are actually active on that front. The GRU is the main directorate of the Russian Armed Forces. They do a lot of cyber espionage and foreign stuff. SVR and FSB are internal and external, kind of the equivalent of NSA and FBI, to give or take. FSB used to be called the KGB, so these are the same guys. Again, terminology. I love their logos, by the way. Really, really cool. I mean, if you could get those for laptop stickers, please do. Shoot me an email. One of my favorite agencies is just called the Center for Research of Military Strength of Foreign Countries. All right? So there's no hiding about it. It's like me walking yesterday in Vegas with an I'm a Liability t-shirt. It's like, you know, no surprises. And the last but not least, there's a thing in Russia called NASHI. It's the National Youth Associations. There are several of these. They're kind of political party for teenagers, or I don't know. It's kind of a Boy Scouts, but with a political flavor into it. Tightly coupled with the actual political parties, if you can say that, in Russia. And these guys carry out a lot of actions that the party wants them without being directly connected to like government decisions. So remember these, we're going to talk about them in like 20 minutes. China. There have been enough talks about China. Again, read the Northrop Grumman report. It's got a lot of information that was kind of available before, but they just kind of concentrated it and summarized it very, very well. Some people call it old. I just tell them, you know, read it through. because it's got a lot of scattered information that was available before, so it might be a little old, but in a very well-formed manner. These guys run the 3rd and 4th General Staff Departments for electronic countermeasures and SIGINT, and signal intelligence, which basically mean offense and defense, respectively. And yes, these guys have been practicing, all right? Rain, Google, whatever. They have the capabilities, they have the knowledge, and they definitely have the infrastructure and the hierarchy to run all those attack and defense. Iran. That's a little kind of shady. Not a lot of information. The one thing that you may notice in Iran is the amount of growth they went through in the past 5 years in terms of internet connectivity, and this is fiber connectivity. Okay. By the way, the telecommunication infrastructure company it's like the monopoly for internet communication in Iran is the government telecom monopoly and works very, very closely with the Iranian armed forces. Okay, so everything is controlled by them. If you thought that the Chinese Great Firewall is strict, check out Iran. All right, it's even worse. Last but not least, Israel. You're not going to see anything interesting here because this is all Google stuff. I can't really tell you like from the trenches stuff, so it's going to be a little boring. Google it. There's a lot of information, and again, it's going to give you some perspective on what's going on. IDF is like the main actor in terms of cyber offense and defense, adding a lot of attack capabilities. Okay, again, Google, you'll find this. In the IDF, they have C4Is, which you guys have here as well. Command, control, communication, computers, and intelligence branches in all the different branches of the military. So you have intelligence, Air Force, and Navy. Staffing is mostly homegrown, and people get actually trained in the Army to do cyber stuff, which is a little different again than here, where you can recruit people to join the government or the military to do some cyber stuff after they've gained their profession out in the industry. And again, last but not least, Mossad. Again, it's a fancy word for NSA or some spy agency, but it's not that secretive anymore. They have a website. Sorry. They have a website with like job section on it, so you can actually check out the jobs, and based on the open jobs they post there, you can kind of figure out what they're doing in terms of capability building and infrastructure. So let's get back to cyber war, and let's bash, once and for all, the Wikipedia definition. In my book, all right, cyber war, or at least an attack in cyber war, is a highly selective targeting of military and critical resources. Again, we're veering away from just military and bouncing in critical resources as well, in conjunction with a kinetic attack. All right, this is war. This is, strategy broken down into tactics. So you move, tanks and platoons on the ground here, and to support them or to complement their movement and attack or in defense and whatever it is, you run a cyber attack, all right, on the military that they're facing, on the area that they're going into. You want to blank it out, whatever it is. Or just DDoS a region, okay? Have everyone put their finger on the death grip of the iPhone involuntarily or whatever it is to blank out a region to get the public's attention or to deny the public accessibility to up-to-date information. Very effective. Works all the time. It's the equivalent of the Vietnam, throwing leaflets from B-52s on like the civilian population. So this is cyber war, again, in my book. You can argue all you want, all right? That's what I think. You want to take it out to the bar, that's fine. So there is cyber war, and there was acts of cyber war, as we'll see in a few minutes. On the defense side, yeah. we're not really there.